Today we're going to talk about customizing your home page. Now when you first start using Razor's Edge, there's not a lot of stuff here on the home page, but you have a lot of flexibility for adding records and queries and exports to this page to make it a little bit easier to do your work. So let's say, for example, you're always opening up one constituent. There's this one person in the database you're constantly opening up their record to enter contact reports or see information about. You could add their record to your favorites tab so that you don't have to keep searching for their record, that it's right here. So for example, if we open up Joseph Pio and we come up here to where it says favorites and we say add to favorites, click OK. Now when we go back to the home menu, you can see the Joseph records here. And so instead of having to search for him, I could just come to my home page, click this button, and it'll automatically open up his record. Likewise, you can do the same thing for queries, exports, that type of thing. Maybe there's a query you run all the time and you don't want to have to go to the query folder and search for it. You could add it to your favorites here. Same with exports. One of the things that we do in Advancement Services is we'll actually create folders for business processes. So for example, the process for producing donor acknowledgement letters is a series of queries, series of mail templates. So instead of having to go to each tab, find the ones you're looking for, access them and run them, we build them into the favorite section so we can go one by one. And I'm just going to demonstrate really quickly what that would look like. So let's say, for example, I want a business process for checking what I call data integrity queries. And let's say there might be 2 or 3 that I want to look at every day. If you open up the query, and again, you go to favorites, say add to favorites. Typically, I just leave the defaults because the default is just going to run the query. So I'm going to say OK, save it to favorites. You can change the name if you like. I typically leave it at whatever it is. Cancel out. And when you come back up to home page, now you will see that that query is available for you to run directly from the home page. So if I click on the query here, I don't have to go to the query section and find that query. It's just available on the home page for me to run. Now what I'd like to show you is how we can move that into folders. So if you come up here to customize homepage, there are 2 things you can do here. The first is, when this opens up, this is your user options. The first thing you can do is if you go to panels, this is, if you're familiar with dashboards, you'll recognize this. But these are dashboards that you can provide here on your home page. The default is the action reminders, but you can put a whole lot of other things. Maybe you want to see gifts from last week on a regular basis. Maybe you want to see people in your portfolio, that type of thing. Now, I don't want to go through these different dashboards here. We'll do that in a later training, but I just want to make you aware that these are available for you if you'd like to see on your home page. The other thing you can do is if you go to Organize Favorites, is you can rearrange how these different things display on your home page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these data integrity queries, instead of leaving them out there on their own, I'm going to put them in a folder. So I'm going to create a new folder. Maybe I'll call it Data Integrity Queries. Hit OK. And you can move around these different things into the folder. So I'm going to move this up. And I'm going to move this one into the data integrity query folders. I'm going to move this one into the data integrity query folder as well. Then I take this data integrity query test and move this into the folder as well. So now we see that all 3 are in this folder, so that when we hit OK, close out of this and go back to the home page, instead of them being kind of on their own, now they're part of a business process, and so I can just go to this folder and know which ones I have to run. And again, you can do this with more than just query. You can put constituents in a folder, you could put a query, and then an export, depending on what it is your business process you are running. And that's how you can customize the home page.